All right, everybody. Today we're going to be taking a look at this here tower PC. It basically runs insanely slow, and they have asked me to take a look at it, diagnose it, and fix a majority of the issues. So just taking a look in here, that is disgusting. The stock cooler on what I believe is an i5, but not a very high performing one. I do believe it's a Kaby Lake, so only about 4 cores. I believe only 4 cores. I think that'll suffice. So I'm going to see if we can't salvage this. Underneath here too, I'm looking underneath. Both of those fans are equally disgusting. The GPU itself is not apparent. It is. I was just looking at it, not having a thin layer of dust on it just proves that it was a more recent addition. But still, it's kind of I can see in the fins here. There's dust in there, and then same thing with this fan in the bottom here. So basically, this thing has never been cleaned at all. It runs terribly, I hear, and they do not want it to boot to Windows 11. So, I say they do not want it to boot. They do not want to upgrade to Windows 11. They want to stay on Windows 10, which that's the goal here. So the goal here is to clean this out, make it work, and just get it running again. I can already see the biggest issue here is the IQ RAM slots. IQ is just an absolute bloat hog. I hate that program so much. So if we can avoid touching IQ at all costs, that would be amazing. These fans, I've never heard of this brand before, but I'm pretty sure almost all of these fans are dead. Alright, so plugging this thing in, we're seeing lights, and I just want to see if it runs. So okay, so that was a pretty noisy startup. I do like the purple. The purple looks pretty cool. Besides that, I can already see that this fan here is dead, and so is your exhaust fan. I'm not sure, is that exhausting? That is exhausting. Okay, so this is an exhaust fan, which at least there is one. I believe that this might be the intake fan here, but I can just see that every intake port here has been gummed up with just disgusting everything. So clearly I can see the problem here is we are clearly overheating. The Intel fan does seem to work fairly well, though. I mean, it is spinning. I am seeing no signs of it looking like it's stalling or anything, so we could be in the midst of a PC that's on the verge of death. I should mention as well, too, that the PC just would stutter, cut out to black, and basically force reboot itself, which is basically an indication of overheating. So I'm thinking that's one of the biggest issues is just all the dust in here, but we will be diagnosing every component in here, and we will be seeing what is good, what is bad, and we will be fixing this, because this is what I do now that I don't have a job. Alright, so taking a look at the card here, we can see that this is a Power Color 570, it says right on the back here. It's a 570 4GB card. Okay, so maybe still usable in the big 25, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's up to date. I do not remember the last time that AMD's announced drivers for 500 series graphics cards. Gonna be shooting the dust out of it. We don't want to spin the fans like we're starting up a jet engine. Just want to hit the fins. Overall, so far, this is probably the cleanest component on here, and definitely one of the best looking, I think, personally. I mean, this is a really, compared to other graphics cards, I mean, all metal design, these fans look really nice. I mean, I've never seen a fan that looks particularly, like, aggressive, but the styling on this card, I mean, it's just, it's almost just a decoration piece. A little dusty on top here. These are the antennas it came with. The bottom part there got a little crushed, it looks like, but they might be still just fine, honestly. Of course, you just plug these two in there, and then yeah, you're kind of set to go. I have not seen Wi-Fi cards in quite a while, on account that every motherboard now just has integrated Wi-Fi, or people just plug right into their Ethernet. So it's very interesting to see a Wi-Fi card on a PC. I'm sure that there are some people who are still using Wi-Fi cards, which that's great. I just have not seen a Wi-Fi card in forever. I'm going to be taking off the shroud right now. All right, so taking the heatsink off there, you can actually see, if I angle it correctly in the light, you can see the part that was just covered up with metal on metal contact, and then you can see the part that was just the rest of it exposed. I am surprised they have such a large heatsink with such an intricate fan design for what is essentially just a Wi-Fi chip, but there is obviously a need for it, so yeah, I'm going to keep that on there. I'm actually going to do it a little favor, and I'm going to apply a little bit of thermal paste just right on the top there. Nothing crazy, but just a small amount, because the gap is just so insignificant. I'm sure the metal on metal works good, but I mean, if you can get a degree, if you can get like a degree or two cooler because of it, then, you know, obviously we've made a correct upgrade. Before I do that, though, I'm actually going to just give it a nice clean off with the duster, with the blow-off duster. It's just so high there. Definitely only that little much should, in theory, be good. And then, yeah, I'm just going to simply set that just as it was, right back on there, like so. And then we'll get these screws and such. You can see that bend there, which is actually kind of crazy, but yeah. On to the next part. All right, so here it is, and I did not realize this before, but this is an Asus Prime H270. This is an ATX board. It is dusty as a desert. I mean, just look at that filth. I am trying not to touch that, but there are a couple interesting notes. The first thing is that this is I believe, an LG 1151 socket, which is a 7th gen Intel processor. For context, right now we are on 14th gen. So I would not be surprised if I saw an i5 7000 series. I do believe it's an i5. But I would not be surprised. And that actually explains the Wi-Fi chipset. They did not have Wi-Fi on these boards. All right, so for reference, here is the fan before I clean it. You can just see, like, you can hardly even see through these fins. Just, they're so dusty, and just on top too, like, underneath the fins. I mean, look at all that underneath those fins there. That is just, wow. Clearly this poor CPU is just choking, especially seeing as it's not the most powerful one out there, but when all you have is the stock Intel cooler, aluminum on aluminum contact with dried out thermal paste, you will be seeing some thermal throttling. All right, and now here is the after. I did the best I could. I feel like I got it pretty clean. Scraped off a little bit off the bottom here with the thermal paste, and also off the die itself. So we should be ready to just throw that back on. So the first thing I think we should do is we'll get some thermal paste going right on there. And I'm thinking we'll do a little cross will do. Well, as good of a cross as one can make, honestly. That'll be fine though. Literally, whatever's been sitting in this junk heap is better than whatever thermal paste was on there before. So yeah, if you can actually clip those back on there. Seems like the wires wanted to pop out at one point too. But the Intel cooler, I do believe, runs still strong, so I'm going to just keep using it then. I don't see why not. Reduce, reuse, recycle, all that great stuff. Yep. Just gonna place that right on top there. Whoops. There we go. Alright, so for this portion, I just figure that, I would just simply do a little twirl of the case itself, and then from there, I would basically clean it out. I don't really think you'd want to see me clean out this whole thing. This thing is very nasty. Just taking a look at this fan, I mean, look at that. That is years of neglect. Ugh, I don't even want to look at that anymore. So you can definitely see underneath as well, those fans aren't doing too hot either. But the dust cover tried to do its job, I guess. I mean, you can just see the burn mark of dust on there. Over there, I think that fan might still be operational. I powered it on once, and I'm kind of just going off of what fans I thought were spinning. Basically, we're going to be changing out all of these fans. I've never heard of this brand before, isnt, so I'm going to be putting in some better fans, some used fans, but still better fans. Yeah. All right, so moving on to the back. Honestly, not terrible. The cable management is atrocious, don't get me wrong, but I mean, it could be so much worse. The thing that's really, I think, what's killing this is the little intake duct here, and you can see basically where the fan is just like totally dusted up completely. It's just full of crud. I think, oh goodness. Okay, so this is a controller for the fans. Wow, that's really like, does this thing stay? I guess it used to at one point. Doesn't anymore. Okay, so it uses one of those IR receivers to change the colors of the LEDs. That's pretty low tech. Underneath here, though, a Corsair RM750X. That's a really nice power supply, so they're definitely doing their job. They did their job at least putting in a pretty good power supply, which is always, I'd say, the most important part of any build. I think there is a dead bug down there. That is nasty. And then there are hard drives in there. If you can see on the racks there are hard drives. So definitely, yeah, this thing is in desperate need of some saving. I'm probably going to vacuum it out, blow it out. Yeah. Alright, so here is the much more cleaned up case. I already put the motherboard in there. You can see fans in there. I'm not too crazy for this cable here. It's managed as best as it can be on the side there. And then on the back, I've started to do some cable management, but only to connect like the USBs, the audio out, audio in, and the power button and such. Obviously also the reset button too. But yep, and then here's the back working on the cable management, but so far, so good. Definitely a process to go through, but yeah, we'll put in the power supply, and then hopefully I can put in everything else, and we can see if it starts up. All right, so here we are with our brand new, slightly cleaned up PC. It's pretty much got everything in there minus the dust, or at least the majority of it. We're going to be adding this last, if it wants to focus here. We are going to be adding this right here. Come on, take a look at it. Well, it's a 256 gig N.2. And if we kind of pirouette this real quick, we can of course see my cable management. Please bully it down below. But Oof. There we go. So I guess the case is half the weight here. Oh my goodness. But let me throwing this bad boy in. Probably open it real quick. There we go. I wish it wouldn't glare up on me, but you know. There we are. So a 256 gig Patriot M.2 SSD. So we're going to be throwing this in there, and this is what we're going to be doing to boot Windows on. So I'll plug this in real quick. All right, the M.2 is in there. We can toss this up right, and I'd say we are good to boot this thing up. All right, everybody, so as you can see, we have opened up the BIOS now, and I mean, mostly just checking out, you know, making sure it actually works, but I mean, this is pretty much everything here. Just kind of like making sure the whole thing, power saving, normal. Let's go power saving, because this is not exactly going to be running any games or anything like that. But we got it to run. I was a little concerned because we did take everything apart and we just put everything back together again, but so far so good. We're running under a volt for CPU voltage, which is going to keep our temperatures nice and frosty. You can see we're at 30 degrees Celsius right now. We're only at 30 degrees, so this is good. Yeah, I'm going to boot Windows, or at least I'm going to get a loader on, and then we can continue. All right, so here we are. We have our computer all ready to go. Running Windows 10. Down here, of course, we have the PC itself. It's just doing fine. It's doing exactly what it should do. Nice and quiet, very fast. I really like the purple touch because, you know, the whole theme of the computer here is kind of purpley. So if I go like, the Windows logo is purple, everything on here is purple. Yep, that's kind of it for the video. So yeah, I hope you guys kind of enjoyed this little. It's a bit different of a video, but you know, it didn't take me that long to make, only because I was going to do this anyway, so I figured I might as well record it while I do it. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Maybe more videos like this on the way soon. I've definitely got a lot of projects coming up, so, you know, maybe I'll start uploading again. But until then, see you guys next video.